Good morning. We're back with another edition of your best year ever in 2020. I'm not buying into that 2020 is going to be the worst year ever. It's just hit a couple of speed bumps is all, slowing us down, making us take account of our life. Today, I want to know who is renting and would like to buy your first house. My guest is raising her hand. We're looking for people who would like to be a homeowner and maybe have felt like it was never going to happen for you. Yeah. It felt like my mom's generation, my older siblings' generation could do it, but I will never be able to do it. That's the people that we're talking to today. So if you know somebody that fits that category, you may want to tag them in the comments, and so that they will see this Facebook Live and will be a part of the conversation. If you are watching live, let me know you're out there. Drop a comment. Let me know how many houses you've bought or whether you're still renting. One or the other. I'm renting, or I've had in my lifetime this many houses that I've owned. Because some people that watch this are going to have that. I'm Judy Best with eXp Realty and Best REI. And I'm glad to be back today. And my special guest today is Rachel Wilcox. You might, hi Mom, I see Mom.
Hi Grandma.
Rachel's cat Scar is going to try to jump into the screen as much as possible because Scar is not used to Rachel being home with her all day, so she's excited about it. Rachel is my daughter. You'll see a resemblance. She looks just like I looked when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and I had one child, Eric, her older brother, and she works in Conway. So Rachel, tell them a little bit about yourself.
Oh, okay. So to start off, I am 28, which is important because I know a lot of my friends in my age are struggling with the same thing I am. So I do okay for myself. I work in property management, and my husband works in pest control. And we've been married for 2 years, and we've been renting. And honestly, if you'd asked me 2 months ago if I'd be looking for a house right now, I probably would have laughed at you because I was convinced that there's no way I could do it. You know, credit wasn't good enough because you have to have like a 720, and you know, I can't come up with a down payment right now, and there was so many like things. And also it was like, well, I mean, buying's just out of reach, and that was kind of where I was living, was I have to rent. and I'm spending plenty of money in rent right now. I'm paying $950 a month in rent, and that's a lot for my house, but I love my house.
Well, but it is a house, and you could get an apartment for maybe a lower cost.
Oh, much lower. I was renting an apartment for like $740 before this.
Yeah. So renting a house gets you in the same price range as it would cost you to have a monthly payment on a mortgage, right?
I mean, honestly, with the apartment rental rate, with the payments that we've been looking at, they've still been equivalent to apartment rental payments. So, I mean,
so you may save some money monthly.
Yeah, and instead of being in an apartment, you would be in a house.
Yeah. Okay, very cool. And Rachel has just finished her real estate studies. She's not a realtor yet because she has to get her fingers printed, fingerprints done.
And nobody's doing them right now.
Right now, yeah. So we're looking to get her started, but in the meantime, she's letting me help her, and I'm having a ball helping her. Your kitty cat is so cute. Oh, Scar. I'm helping her find a house. So we thought it would just be fun for us to get on here and talk about this and let you hear from future homeowners' perspective of where we needed to start. Now, the first mistake we made was she found a house she loved. We went to look at it, and it was in the rent. It was about 160, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And it was one that really hit all the things that she would love about a home. We'll talk about that a little more in a little bit. And I took her to see it, and and she loved it. She still loves it, but they're not going to sell it for as much less as it would need to be. So here's the first tip we have is that you need to get pre-qualified for your mortgage so you know what price you can afford to buy in a home.
Yeah.
We started at 160. Where did we end up, Rachel?
130.
130.
Yeah.
And when they went to talk about going through that pre-qualification, what you had to do.
I really thought it'd be a lot harder than it was, but I talked to a couple different mortgage lenders and we filled out some information on each of them had like a website. You could fill out some information and they get back with you really surprisingly quick. And they tell you what, like one, if you can qualify, anything they can do to help you qualify, and then get to know you a little bit better. So then you have to like provide proof of income and stuff like that. And the information is a lot because you do have to give them like years worth of rental history and employment history.
That was after, right? That was,
well, I had to give 2 years of employment and 2 years of rental history as part of the application. Yeah. Now, I don't know about other people, but I have not worked at one job for 2 years or lived at the same place for 2 years. So I thought that would be a problem, but it turns out as long as you have 2 years worth of it, it doesn't really matter if it's at one place or more than one place.
Right. Well, and one of the things that you learned was that communicating with different lenders mattered because you're going to be doing a lot of work with your lender. So you have to get somebody that you feel really comfortable with and that you like their style of communication. So let's talk about that for a minute. I know you called one person and you weren't happy at all.
Yeah, we did not have personality styles that meshed, and he couldn't work with me in the way that I wanted, but I just kind of let that one go. Yeah. I mean, the real thing is the other advantage, I think, to talking to more than one mortgage lender was they all have different requirements and different things that they can offer. So I think it was also important because one person did tell me no, but then another person was able to tell me yes. And then another person gave me something completely different. So like you get different offers from different places.
Right. And they have different products, different mortgage products. Now, the loan that Rachel and James have applied for is a VA loan with the Veterans Administration, offers a loan, and it is 100% loan. They don't have to come up with a down payment. And because of James's Air Force service, he qualifies for that. So if you or anyone in your family has served in the military, it's very possible that you could qualify for that. But there are other products that you can get that don't require a down payment other than the Veterans Administration. And from one mortgage lender to the next, they all have different products. So I have several that I refer people to. And I sent Rachel to several of my people, not all of my people, but some of my people, because there are so many choices. I try to think which one's going to be the best one for them. And Rachel ended up with this one. Now, another thing that happened in her lending situation was Rachel's credit was not as good as her husband's. Is it okay that I say that, Rachel?
Yeah, no, that's fine. I have bad credit.
It's not horrible, but it's not good. And because of that, they are planning, the mortgage lender suggested that they get the mortgage just in James's name. Yes. So that's something that is very possible for anybody that has that situation. So getting pre-qualified is important. When Rachel found out that the limit, Rachel and James together, that they needed to buy a house $130,000 or less. And that was like, oh, I don't get the blue house. We call that one the blue house.
I don't get the blue house.
That one is a listing that Sergio Conyers with Bluebird Realty had listed, and it's still listed. So if you'd like to see a really pretty blue house for $160,000, Rachel really liked that one. So the next thing we needed to do, once we knew what our price was, we knew that we needed to narrow the search. So there's a lot of neighborhoods in Central Arkansas. So I said, Rachel, do you want to be in Conway, Cabot, Jacksonville, Sherwood, North Little Rock, Little Rock? Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be, Rachel?
Sherwood, North Little Rock, or Little Rock. But if it's in North Little Rock or Little Rock, it has to be in certain neighborhoods. Right.
And because we did go look at some houses in North Little Rock, over off of Mission Road and Camp Robinson. We saw one there that Rachel really liked, and so did James. But the neighborhood wasn't as nice as it would have been if that house had been over in the Sherwood 72116 North Little Rock area, right?
Yes.
And what did you love about that house?
It had this really cool fireplace that was on both sides. Like it was a two-sided fireplace, like you could see through it. And then the floor plan was really, really great. I'm a sucker for a big kitchen and a nice bathroom. It had a really deep tub, and my husband takes a lot of baths, and he actually is the one that wants a nice deep tub. He will be okay with me saying this, I promise. And so it had a nice backyard for our dog, because I don't just have a cat, there's a dog as well. And she's big and she needs space to run. So it had
there's the cat.
Yes. So we had all that to working to its advantage. Like it was a beautiful house.
Yeah.
But the location just didn't sit right with me.
And so that's a big thing, is what location do you want to be in? What neighborhoods do you want to be in? Right now, I'm also helping a doctor find a home. He's relocating to the area. He wants to be in the Hillcrest Heights area.
I would love to be in the Hillcrest Heights area, Mom.
He wants to be in a walkable neighborhood. Yes, I agree with you. And his price range is a lot higher, but yeah, we're looking for that too. So if you're watching this live or on replay, tell us what you must have in a home. What is one must have you have? Rachel already had narrowed it down by the neighborhood she wanted to be in. She's pretty much looking for something less than 130 or less in the 72116 or 72120 area. So that's the thing. That's what they need. And what other things are non-negotiables for you guys? You named a few of them just now, but
fenced-in backyard.
Yeah.
Because we have a dog, so we have to have the fenced-in backyard for her to play in. I want a really nice kitchen. I hate galley-style kitchens, so I just can't deal with a galley-style kitchen. And then we have to have 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. And I need at least a carport, but I would prefer a garage, so like 2-car carport, a garage.
Yeah, we understand, and we know that. One of the things about narrowing the search and finding your dream home to make an offer on is we might have to bend a little bit with some of those things. We found a house. We found several houses actually that have 2 sides fenced. So one side of the backyard is not fenced one way or the other. They're attached to other yards that have fence, but they've never closed it. Well, that's workable because just put up one side of the fence. You can't do anything about if there's not 2 bathrooms and you don't have a real good tub in one of them. So that's really a non-negotiable. We're really not looking at 3 1s or 3 1.5s. We're looking at 3 2s. One of the things I encouraged her to bend on was the parking situation, because there are neighborhoods that are in her price range and the house is perfect, but it doesn't have a garage. It has a carport. And in Central Arkansas, there's probably as many carports as there are garages. So it's not as important as it is up in Springfield, Missouri, where my mother lives. Everybody's got a garage up there, it feels like. So what else? Anything else that you needed to narrow to that we've talked about?
Well, I mean, I think those are the main. Oh, a fireplace is like a thing. It's
Yeah.
not like a must-have. See, that's the problem is we delineated between the must-haves and the wants, and like in the wants category was like he wants a fireplace and I want a bay window, and we find houses more with fireplaces than bay windows, but
Yeah.
it's odd how many fireplaces there are in the South, honestly.
Right. And there's a lot of fireplaces because we have found a lot. Okay, so we've narrowed the search. Rachel, how many homes have you and I gone and looked at together?
We've looked at, I think, 4 or 5, and then you've looked at 2 or 3 just with my husband.
Yeah. Okay, and the next thing that happens is you find one where you can say that checks off, that checks off. We're checking off the boxes, and we find one that gets really close, and it's time to make an offer. Right now, the inventory is really low. It's definitely a seller's market right now. So if you're thinking about listing your home, give me a call. It's a perfect time to sell. People are making offers and buying houses right now.
Especially if you're trying to sell what I'm looking for, because she'll hook you up real quick.
Well, and Rachel has learned the hard way that if you want to sleep on it overnight, the next morning you'll wake up and the house is under contract. And so we've looked at 4 or 5, 6 or 7. But one of the reasons we've looked at that many is because that's how fast they're going right now. Literally, they're closed and they're gone. And so Rachel has missed out on a couple, and it's been a little sad for her. But we haven't found a home that we absolutely checks off all the boxes and you go, oh, that should be my home yet. Is that true, Rachel?
That's true.
We have found one that we think will, if we can ever get into it. People aren't letting us into all the homes because of the virus.
Yeah, there's one that I've had my eye on since the very beginning, but they won't let us in.
We'll get in, but if you have, oh, look at their scars tell again. If you have a 3-2 house that sounds like what Rachel's looking for, in 72116 or 72120 zip codes, and you might like to sell, definitely reach out to me because I have a buyer for you. So the next, making an offer. And so we had some serious conversations about that. Another thing that happens in our market that helps future homeowners is we can ask the sellers to cover some of your closing costs. And so that's another thing you don't have to come up with then. You don't have to have a lump sum of money. In some markets, buyers pay their own and sellers pay their own closing costs. This is something I didn't know before I was a realtor, that Central Arkansas was this way. And now that I'm here, it's like, oh, the seller has to pay all of it, it feels like. And so we can ask the seller to pay some of your closing costs. Now, you may have to pay a little higher price than they would have accepted if you were willing to pay your own closing costs, but that's a trade-off. And if you don't have a large amount of money in the bank, that helps you to get on with it. Because what else do you need money for as you're going through this, Rachel, that you've already been thinking about?
A refrigerator.
Yeah, appliances that don't come with it.
Yeah.
You already had to pay an expense on one offer that we did. What was that one?
An inspection, and you do have to pay that at the time that it's done.
Inspection at the time, and that was with Laura Rainbow's on here right now, and it was her husband Justin for Selection Home inspection that came and did that inspection for Rachel. So you have to have money for that, and you know that if you get to the closing table and you get your loan and everything, you close, what else you're going to have to pay for, Rachel?
Oh, wait. Us?
Yeah, when it's when you're done and it's your house.
A bed frame?
Moving expenses.
Oh, yeah. We have to get a moving truck and possibly movers if we have enough money left over.
Maybe utility deposits.
Oh, yeah. All the utility deposits.
Yeah. So there's going to be some things you've got to have money for. So you need to have a little bit of money back. You can't do this with no money at all, unless you've got a pickup truck and you've got friends that'll do it. Okay, so that's not going to cost you. But if you have to buy a refrigerator, that's going to be about $1,000.
Washer and dryers don't come with a lot of them. We just happen to own our own.
Yeah, washer and dryers are $300 to $500 at least used, and then the home inspection is from $300 to $600 depending on who you use. I highly recommend First Selection Home Inspection. Laura was my guest on the show last fall, and she offered everybody that says that they want the best discount, a 10% discount off their home inspection. So if you're getting ready to buy, you don't even have to be working with me. All you got to do is call them up and say, you know, I've got this house. They tell you how much it's going to cost. And when you say, I want the best discount, you get a discount. So
yeah. And he was great to work with. I loved working with him. I'm not very savvy on that stuff, and I didn't have to be. He was really good at explaining it all to me
yes.
in a way that I understood.
Well, and that's the nice thing is after making the offer, talking about the closing costs, getting that covered by the seller, asking for a home warranty, and asking for your 10-day inspection period. You should always ask for that. The next thing that happens after they accept your offer is we get the inspection set up. I told Rachel there were 3 things that happened right then. You need to work out, it was their job to work with the lender to get the mortgage finished. And
there's a lot more paperwork after you get an offer accepted.
Yeah, right. And then we also needed to get set up with a title company so that they could start working on the closing, and they work with the lender and with me and with the buyers and sellers. And then the third thing was the inspection. So you definitely need to get an inspection. It doesn't matter how new the house is. You still need to get an inspection. You will be surprised, or you might not be surprised at the things that are found during inspections. So get an inspection. We always recommend it, but I always talk to my buyers and explain that we're only looking for the sexy 6. And I've talked about this on a past site. Rachel, can you rattle some of those off?
Roof, HVAC, foundation. Those are the 3 that I have just super memorized.
And the foundation includes any structural issues.
Yes.
But also plumbing, electrical,
yes,
and health and safety issues.
Yeah.
So any of those big things, that's the things we're worried about, because those are the things that's going to cost a new buyer a lot of money if they don't discover them before, and then within a short time they have that. So we do the inspection so we don't have surprises.
And in my case, I kind of have to have the inspection as well, because for VA loans they have higher requirements for what kind of house you have to get. They make you buy a more complete house.
Well, I would never recommend that any buyer, whether they're doing a VA loan or not, all of them should get an inspection and make sure you've got a good house, because you don't want any surprises. But the other reason you get an inspection, remember I said when we made the offer that we're going to ask for a 1-year home warranty? When you get the inspection, it lets the home warranty company know that the house is either in good shape or you've asked for repairs of the seller so that it is in good shape. And so then they are set, and no matter what comes up in the next year, well, I won't say no matter what, because there are some things they don't cover, but they're going to cover most of the big things, and all you're going to pay is a deductible. Rachel and I have not gone through the process yet of choosing a home warranty company, but I have the brochures, and I send them to my buyers, and I talk them through the benefits of different home warranty companies. And that helps them, again, know that they're not going to have a major expense that's going to kill them. You're not going to get a brand new home when you buy a home unless you can afford to build your own home. You're not going to find a home that exactly matches your dreams. Now, one of the things Rachel has learned in looking at houses, that there's some styles of houses she does not like.
Yes.
And there is a style or two that she especially likes. And I don't know what the style that she doesn't like is called. Almost, it probably is a split level, but it's where the top, one part of the top floor.
The second story hangs over the first story.
Over the first floor. So it's sticking out from even just a little bit. She doesn't like that. Not a fan.
It makes me think of Monster House.
Monster House. But she does like the houses that have a front porch with like a picket fence.
White picket specifically.
Style of railing. She likes a wooden picket fence type railing. And that goes back to one of the first houses we had when we moved here in Arkansas. We moved into a lease home our first year in Windsor Valley. And Rachel loved going out on that front porch and hanging out. And she loved going on the covered deck in the back. She was 8-year-old Rachel, and Rachel loved that house. So I know that your likes and dislikes are impacted by all the houses we had you in.
I still look at houses the same way 8-year-old Rachel did. And I know you've at least talked about this on your blog, like things that I would do as a kid. And I still do them. Like I still get inside closets. And if I see a window seat, I just kind of swoon a little bit. So a lot of the things I loved, I actually loved when I was a kid too. So
absolutely. It's part of it. So we're still looking for the perfect house for Rachel. And James too, he gets to come. And James has some very particular things he wants as well, but they kind of sync with Rachel's. But James tends to fall in love with the home faster than Rachel. Rachel, do you know why you're slower to fall in love with homes?
So with him, if it just checks off his boxes, then he's good. But I want it to feel like home, and I want to like fall in love with the house. And that's happened a couple times. But like any house that he sees, he's like, ooh, house. And I think he wants a house more than like I am, where I'm like, oh, I want something that 5 years down the line, I'm not going to be like, I really don't like blank.
Yeah. Right. And one of the things that when we're standing in a home as a realtor and as mom, I say to Rachel and James, okay, do you love this house? Okay. And if they can't say, I love this house, then it's probably not the house for them.
It's called a cantilever, apparently.
Roger, Dad's on the live, and he's telling us that overhang that I'm describing on a house is called a cantilever. So the second question I ask them, if they say, I love the house, I say, do you love the location? Location. Because if you can fall in love with a house, but if it's not in the right neighborhood or on the right block, and you buy it, you won't stay in love with the house because
we would like a park nearby, and that's something location related that you just can't find everywhere.
Yeah. So that's the two things that I talk about with them and with any buyers is, do you love the house? Okay, you love it. Do you love the location? Okay. The third question I told Rachel that I ask is, if you were living here at Christmas, where would you put your Christmas tree? Because I have found that when you know where you would put your tree in a house, frequently that either means there's only one place that Christmas tree goes in the house, or it's a sign that this is a house you've already thought it through.
Yeah. And that definitely was helpful.
And it helps to have furniture in the house. So if you are selling a house and it's vacant, consider staging it, because if people can sit down and just look out the windows and get the feel of the house and say, oh yeah, here's where I'd put my bed. here's where I put my Christmas tree, you know,
Yeah.
different things like that, then you know that you're already settling into that home. That's the things that we want to hear. What else would you like to say about your home? What have been your fears and your victories through this, Rachel?
Okay, so when we were talking about the inspection earlier, right? Another one of the reasons you didn't hit on why you need an inspection is home insurance. Because my home insurance person, well, that's a lie. I talked to like 5 people. I still don't have a home insurance person, but they all wanted to see the inspection so that they could give a better home insurance quote. And so for me, one of my fears is making sure the home is insurable and the home insurance isn't going to be too expensive. And there's a lot of factors that play into how expensive your home insurance is going to be. Right. And so I am always worried, like, is it in a floodplain?
That's real here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, the home insurance is huge. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's one thing. And then I always was I've always been a little afraid of like, you know, like jumping into it too quickly in a market like this where you have to decide real quick whether you want to make an offer or not. Is like falling into that to the point where you make an offer on a house because you're like, oh, this house will get taken, but then it's not the one that you love, which I think is the other reason I take longer than my husband.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other thoughts on that? Or is that your biggies for now?
Those are my biggies for now.
Okay. It's important to have somebody you trust to talk you through these things as they're helping you buy a house. And I am available to help any future homeowners. And Rachel's brother, Eric, is available to help. And we've got a couple more people on our team that are ready to help. And this summer, Rachel will be ready to help you too, especially if you're looking in the Conway area, because Rachel loves helping people in the Conway area.
Or if you speak Spanish.
It's going to be our Hispanic one, yes.
And if you are younger, especially, because I get it. I get it.
But we are getting ready to do a homeowners 3-day webinar where you can learn more about lenders. You can learn more about title companies. You can learn more about inspections. So that's going to be coming up in just a few weeks. If you would be interested in being part of that, it's going to be free. It's going to be online, and it's going to be 1 hour each day. And then you'll have homework to go and do something to be ready for the next one, because it's to give you the idea whether you are ready to go or not. Now, all of that said, we have a home in Jacksonville, Arkansas. It's a 4-2 with appliances and a garage that's coming available in August. So if you're looking for something that can get you on the path to home ownership, while you're still figuring out the mortgage and the down payment and all that stuff, that's an option that I'm going to have for somebody too. So if you're interested in that, let me know. Laura Rainbow says, habla Espanol.
Habla Espanol. Sí.
So that's a possibility too. Plus, I've got a 3-bedroom, 1-bath, no fencing yard in Southwest Little Rock. So it's not something Rachel's interested in, but coming on the market at the end of this week. So that will be a possibility for somebody too. And we have lots of houses coming down the pike. I love helping people find their perfect next home. Rachel and James are probably going to live wherever they're moving for a while, and then they will upgrade a kid or 2 later, maybe.
Yeah, probably. James just dying for grandkids.
More babies. We love more babies. All of that's said. I appreciate you being here with me this week, Rachel. Next week, I'm trying to think who's coming on next week. Oh, next week will be Tharwat Lovett. And she's going to be interesting. She's going to be talking about mother-daughter relationship. She's a therapist coach who helps people work through issues. And with Mother's Day coming up, I thought it would be fun to talk about those connections we have with mothers' daughters. Rachel and I have been talking frequently, not just about houses, but just during this pandemic. We've talked regularly, and that's been good, right? You said that.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't used to talk to you every single day, and then COVID hit, and now we talk every day.
Every day, and it's not just about buying houses, but we're also talking about that. And I'm talking to my mom every day. So
no, when the houses got involved, it was like 3-4 times a day after that.
So Tharwat's going to be here with us next week with our best year ever in 2020. Thank you guys for joining us today. Remember to say #replay and tell me where you're watching from, and let us know if you'd like to be part of our future homeowners webinar that we're going to have in the next couple of weeks. Be watching for invitations to that on our in this page. We're out of here for now. Rachel, I know you've got to go back to work, so I hope you have a good and productive day, and we'll talk about houses some more this afternoon.
Okay.
Hey, love you.
Love you too.
Okay, see you folks. Love you.